So yeah, you're seeing it right. There's a dramatic shift happening in the United States immigration policy. Over 55 million visa holders, including students, tourists, and even business professionals, are now under review by the U.S. government. Their legal permission to stay in or enter the U.S. could be revoked at any moment. This is a major development, and it's going to impact a lot of things. So let's break it down in simple terms. What is this new visa policy? How will it affect the U.S.? And why is it being implemented? Let's get into it. So according to the latest reports, the U.S. State Department is about to launch a massive review of the visas held by over 55 million people, both those currently in the U.S. and those living abroad. Yes, even people with long-term U.S. visas and multiple entry permissions are going to be reviewed. And here's the big part. If any ineligibility indicators are found, even after a visa has already been issued, it can be canceled on the spot. If the person is already in the U.S., they could be deported. This new process is being called the second phase of Trump's America First doctrine by some analysts. And this time, it's not just targeting illegal immigration. It's going after legal visa holders and temporary visitors too. Just think about the scale of this crackdown. For comparison, Finland's entire population is around 5.5 million, and the U.S. is planning to review the visa data of more than 55 million people. That's like going through the entire population of Finland 10 times and still having more left to check. Now, personally, I don't believe they'll end up even revoking 10 million visas. But even if just 5 or 6 million visas are canceled, that would still have a massive impact on the U.S., socially, economically, and diplomatically. This is by far one of the boldest steps the U.S. government has taken in recent times. And honestly, this step is very necessary for the U.S. Why? Because as you all know, the U.S. is the largest economy in the world. It's a developed nation, a democracy, and a place where freedoms are taken seriously. Freedom of speech, freedom of expression, the right to protest, and basically the freedom to live life the way you want. But because of these freedoms, so many people from around the world want to come to the U.S. But here's where the problem starts. A lot of people, even though they're not U.S. citizens, end up misusing their time in the United States. Some criticize the U.S. openly, join protests, fake their education qualifications, and engage in all kinds of negative activities. You even see people from other developed countries who come to the U.S. as tourists, but then overstay their visas and start working illegally, trying to earn from the U.S. economy without following the rules. This messes with the law and order situation and puts extra pressure on the system. Remember a while back, during the wave of pro-Palestine protests in the U.S., American flags were being burned on the streets, and many U.S. universities were filled with vocal supporters of Hamas. And here's the shocking part. Most of those protesters weren't even U.S. citizens. They were on U.S. visas or had entered the U.S. illegally. But now, that time might be coming to an end. The U.S. government is preparing to roll out a continuous vetting process. This means that even after someone has received a visa, they'll be constantly monitored using law enforcement databases, social media activity, and immigration records to check if they're still eligible to stay. If someone is found overstaying their visa, involved in criminal activity, posing a threat to public safety, or showing any support for terrorism, they can lose their visa immediately. If they're already in the U.S., they may be deported. Previously, these enhanced screening and monitoring efforts mostly targeted international students, especially those from Muslim-majority countries or those seen as being politically active, particularly if they were critical of Israel or supportive of Palestine. But now, these practices are being formalized and extended to all visa categories. One of the most controversial parts of this new policy is digital surveillance. Visa applicants are now required to disable privacy settings on their phones and apps during interviews. Their entire social media activity, both past and present, is being carefully examined. This includes posts, likes, shares, political views, religious beliefs, and even who they follow. And if U.S. authorities find anything considered inflammatory or suspicious, for example, posts that are anti-Israel or critical of the U.S., that could trigger further investigations or negatively affect the applicant's visa status. Even for those who already hold a visa, periodic checks will now be part of the process. Immigration authorities may coordinate with local and federal law enforcement to review visa holders' housing, jobs, or academic records. If someone refuses to cooperate, they could be denied entry or have their visa revoked. So yeah, under this new policy framework, everyone, tourists, students, workers, and others, will be subject to tighter monitoring and inspection than ever before. And to make things even more solid, the U.S. administration has halted the issuance of work visas for commercial truck drivers. Here's what Secretary of State Marco Rubio said about it. The U.S. is pausing all issuance of worker visas for commercial truck drivers. Foreign drivers are endangering American lives and undercutting the livelihoods of American truckers. Now, this decision was largely influenced by a recent tragic accident in Florida involving an illegal truck driver from India. He made an illegal U-turn at a restricted access point, blocking all lanes of the highway. Sadly, a minivan collided with his truck, resulting in 3 deaths. He was arrested at the scene and later failed an English language exam after the crash. Unfortunately, incidents like this are becoming more common in the U.S. There are thousands of foreign truck drivers operating across the U.S. who struggle to read or understand English, including basic road signs, and that creates a serious safety risk. These language barriers have contributed to accidents and fatalities. Because of this, the U.S. government has decided to pause new H-2B and other work visas for truck drivers until further notice. But now the big question is, how will this impact the U.S. and ordinary Americans? Well, there are 2 sides to this, both positive and negative impacts. Let's start with the positive side. First, and obviously, it'll enhance U.S. national security. It'll help identify and prevent potential threats like criminal activity, terrorism, or individuals who could be a danger to public safety from entering or staying in the U.S. Second, it could protect the American job market. By limiting the number of foreign workers, it could open up more job opportunities for young American talent. Domestic hiring could increase, and more Americans, especially in tech fields, might get job offers. Plus, less competition from foreign workers in lower-skilled jobs could lead to better wages for Americans in those sectors. Third, this policy might reduce strain on public services and resources. And in the case of the truck driver visa pause, it could lead to safer roads and help safeguard the livelihoods and job opportunities for American citizens working in those industries. But on the negative side, this could hurt the U.S. economy in a few major ways. For starters, actions like these can damage America's reputation as a welcoming and diverse country. It might also alienate U.S. allies and hurt diplomatic relationships. This could also lead to fewer tourists visiting the U.S. Some might assume they won't be able to get a visa easily, so they'll skip coming to the United States altogether. That has a ripple effect on the areas that rely heavily on tourism, like hotels, restaurants, food trucks near tourist spots, and small shops that count on tourist spending. And let's not forget, the U.S. tourism industry is massive. In 2024, it contributed a huge $2.36 trillion to the U.S. economy. So yeah, tourism is no small deal. It supports a lot of jobs and brings in serious tax revenue. Another big issue is with U.S. universities. They rely a lot on international students. Stricter visa policies could lead to a drop in enrollment, which would impact university finances and hurt research and development, since international students often fill research and teaching assistant roles. Then there's the concern about high-skilled foreign talent, especially in STEM fields. If the U.S. seems unwelcoming or unpredictable, top talent might choose to go elsewhere. Also, many industries like agriculture, construction, and healthcare rely heavily on foreign labor. If stricter visa rules and more deportations happen, these sectors could face serious labor shortages, hurting productivity and raising costs. And let's not ignore the potential diplomatic backlash from countries like India, China, Nigeria, and the Philippines, places where a large number of visa holders come from. So yeah, there are definitely both positive and negative sides to this upcoming U.S. visa policy. It'll be interesting to see how it actually plays out and what the real impact ends up being. So what do you think about this policy? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and hope you all have a wonderful day.